I'll continue with the evolution of new media, basically. Okay, which I have already started yesterday. Okay, and I'll summarize today. So, in the last couple of classes, you have already have that idea of new media. So we also try to um find out the characteristics as well as differences of new media, right? And today, as a part of evolution of new media, I will take up two components. One is telecommunication, and another one is internet technology, about which I have already discussed in last class. Okay. So evolution of internet technology. Regarding the evolution of internet technology, we have discussed about the timeline which you need to follow, and it is very easier also to follow the timeline. Okay, regarding the telecommunication, you also need to know some of the nitty-gritty and the nuances, which usually come in terms of exploration of the services, in terms of the proliferation of the services across India. Okay, so when we talk about a new media, we also need to bring in the component of telecommunication. Huh. So here we started with this internet technology as well as computer, and let's summarize what I uh, discussed yesterday. So it was about that computers. We started with some of the computers, like you know that ENIAC, that happened to be the first computer that came in. If you study from world perspective, first computer that actually came in was the ENIAC, and then we have another computer that is called EDVAC, and then UNIVAC was a digital computer, first digital computer that is usually used for commercial purpose. Okay, ENIAC is basically that that was made for number crunching purpose. Okay, so that was first introduced in 1945. ENIAC computer was introduced in 1945. That was electronic numerical integrated. Numerical integrated calculator. I guess you need to find that out, verify it. So that was first introduced in 1945, and it used a vacuum tube. You know, vacuum tube was used basically, because of which it generated lot of heats. So you see there are different generation of computers, not internet. A different generation of computers came, and ENIAC happened to be the very first generation of computer. Before that, also Pascal invented some of the arithmetic formula of adding, subtracting, and that also helped in you see that making a computer. And hence we see that when you look into this the first generation of computer that generated lot of heat, and that happened to be one of the weakness of the first generation computer, because it used a vacuum tube. And in the second generation computer, transistor actually replaced the vacuum tube. So in second generation computer, we get to see the transistor, use of transistor that replaced the vacuum tube, and to certain extent the heat which was generated by the first generation computer used by the use of the vacuum tube was also reduced. So we get to see that ENIAC was made by the engineer of Moore School in Pennsylvania, and when it was ready, it actually took the space of a large room, and when it was switched on, the light of that Philadelphia, the town, was gone. So you actually see it took the light of that electricity of the whole town. Okay, and it has got lots of that switches on and off. So it was very at times very cumbersome also to operate that computer. But that was the first initial beginning of the computer. I'm not talking about the network. That was beginning of the computer apparatus, that computer device. And moving from ENIAC, we have the second generation of computer, not ADVAC. ADVAC, people also say that ADVAC is also a first generation computer. But yeah, we use this transistor for processing, construction of processing unit. Transistor is being used, and that has generated the size of the computer, as well as generated the size and reduced the heat of the computer. In the third generation, we get to see the use of integrated circuits. IC was used, which can install many more components in one single C, and that has enabled incorporating many more components into one single chip, and that leads to miniaturization of the computers, and to certain extent we also get to see microcomputers which are also available for home use. Okay, and then we get to see that fourth generation computer used large scale integrated circuits for construction of the processor. At the same time, this integrated circuits are also used for the construction of memory unit. So that was used in the third generation and fourth generation of computers, which actually reduced in size, generated less of heat, and also faster in speed, and much more versatile in its operation. So those are some of the features and characteristics also you get to see added with this evolution of the computer as such, computer technology. Okay, far beyond this, you see internet technology. And we see in a fifth generation computer are using this artificial intelligence basically, but we are using it now. We are using the fourth generation, third and fourth generation of computer. So this computer is using that integrated circuit, large scale integrated circuits, and also you see that very large scale integrated circuits. And these integrated circuits are also used not only for the construction of the processor, but also the construction of the memory part of the computer. So it can construct a memory of about 256 bit memory. It can, like, construct. Okay, so that was the basic understanding of computer. And here, as I have already told you, that in India we have used a computer in 1955 first, and it was used by Indian Statistical Institution, and that too for number crunching purpose, right? And in these computers were made by IBM. So we used to purchase computers from IBM, and IBM, and then later actually we had some kind of government bottleneck and the hurdles, because of which we could not get to see that computer revolution that early in India. Hmm. So here we would also like to look into the characteristics of computer, because by very simple way, if we need to define computer, computer is basically uh, a machine that calculates or computes, right? That's how we understand computer. A machine that calculates and computes. At the same time, computer is much more faster than human speed. So by speed itself, it rules the civilization at the same time. And you see this accuracy. In terms of accuracy, you also see that computers are much more accurate. The output that is generated from computer is accurate to the extent, and whatever you see incorrect or you say inadequacy in terms of error and other mistakes, you get to see that is because of the human inadequacy, or not for technological weakness, because of that imperfect design of this architectures and the device, or inadequate entry of data from our own side, right? So that was because of human weakness, not a technological weakness. So in that way, computer itself is accurate, and it perform versatile function in the sense that it can reduce every message into a logical state, into 0 and 1. So just because it can reduce every message to 0 and 1, it can perform each and every function which are being asked to perform, right? In that way, it is also at the same time you see that it has that storage capacity. So at once we can use that storage capacity whenever we want some memory. Our human memory is different, so we retain some information what we think that it is important to retain. Unlike computers, computer will retain all the information what is being saved, right? But whatever is not needed, we usually dump it in the back of our memory. But we retain those informations, we remember those information which we think that it is important to retain. Right. Unlike a human memory, computer used to save all the information and store all the information. So in terms of speed, in terms of you see this versatility, in terms of you see this accuracy, as well as the storage, internet is not internet. Sorry, computer is different. Okay. When you talk about this internet, now internet is also aligned to computer. So it is not computer is not standalone concept. So then we move to internet, right? In the last class we have discussed about the internet, and quickly I will also summarize the internet technology itself. So it is also a network of a collection of databases, people, as well as messages across the world. So it is a network of databases. Right. So it has some component. One is galactic networking and packet switching. These are two very important components and a principle that actually rules the internet architectures. It's very, very important to understand this. And whenever we are talking about the computer itself, without internet, computer has its own timeline. In India also, it has its own timeline. Okay. Later on, we get to see development of software, development of hardware, and that is also aligned with this networking facilities that has made it all encompassing. But initially, computer has developed a separate timeline in India also, as we could see that microcomputers and miniature computer were first made by those like jeans-clad personnel at Silicon Valley. Okay, and gradually those computers were first made for personal professional use. That was also later made for home use. Okay, so that was like that timeline that started from 1945, the computer timeline. But when you talk about this timeline of internet, it begins from 1957. Right, in 1957, with the launching of Sputnik, that was a satellite by USSR. And as an answer to this, USA has also built up the foundation and the department of Advanced Research Project Agency Network. That was the first network working for defense purpose and military purpose, and basically to connect the computers across the universities of Santa Barbara, then Los Angeles, as well as you see this military campus. Okay, so like that way they have created a network in order to circulate this information related to defense, any kind of research related to defense. So it was very limited. The use of internet was also very limited in the first decade. So after 60s, after 1960s or in the 70s decade, we get to see that internet was decentralized with the advent of TCP/IP protocol. And with the advent of TCP/IP protocol, we get to see that internet was much more open. So that protocol made it communicate and transmit information from one network to another network and communicate information among the networks and made that communication very open. So we say that internet itself is a very open architecture just because of TCP/IP protocol. Okay, so it has also made this whole architecture highly open. With the advent of this TCP/IP, we get to see another important milestone and development in the form of Usenet, which is very, very important. Usenet also came in, right? Usenet came in. Usenet was also developed by the students of the Duke University, basically, and made it highly decentralized that anybody can post any message without having any kind of central subscriptions and authority in that group. So that was a decentralized use of internet made for civilians. So earlier internet was made to use for military purpose, but after 70s, after the advent of the TCP/IP, and also people said that research on TCP/IP uh, started in 1972. Then there are many more research papers written on TCP/IP protocol in 1974, and after 1979, I think we got the protocol, and it was actually expanded after 1989. Okay, so we actually see that there is also a lean period that came in, but you see that the internet has been proliferated and spread across the world after 1989. And in India also we get to see development of internet after 1995. Okay, so there is a distinct timeline. In India, internet get to proliferate. Internet gets to proliferate after 1995 with the establishment of cyber cafe. And before that, computer software have been developed and hardware have been developed. But you see that when you discuss about these very technologies, political will and also bureaucratic that will and the support is very important, and that was not attained by this technocrats as well as those even entrepreneurs at that period of time, or those software engineers during the very initial period of software development. Okay, so that actually says the condition and the status of the software, computer software and hardware in India. Okay, but across the world we get to see that already computer has been proliferated. So people started working with the computer. In USA, computer was used even for journalism purpose. So there is also a reporting called CAR, that is computer assisted reporting. So that also unveiled in USA during this Detroit riot during the Civil War in 1960s. That car reporting was already unveiled when computer was used for even that statistical purpose, for mathematical purpose. Okay, but it was not that internet was used during that period of time. So internet was used much, like later. It came in much later than computer. So in 1995, we get to see across the world there are lot many developments in terms of technologies. So we see TCP/IP protocol came in. So computers basically, so not computer, internet is basically based on, or is dependent on these two principles, right? Galactic network and packet switching, and then TCP/IP protocol came in, and then WWW have already expanded in. Before it, we have also EUNet, that European network, that has also extended this, like network technologies, because network was earlier, initially it was limited and restricted to USA only, and later it was extended from USA to European countries, and a UNet has been created, European network connecting the Scandinavian countries and Netherlands and Europe. That UNet came in 1982. After UNet, we also have that's on computer. Sorry, do you have anything to say? Okay. Then we also have there is another research network also came in 18. You will get a detail in that PPT. Okay, and also you have that US that NSF National Foundation network. That was also another development came in 1986, which expanded across the European countries. But till then, we did not have much more development of network technologies in Asian countries. Okay, in 1986. But you get to see that first internet cafe was launched in India in 1995, right, in Bangalore. Thereafter, we get to see again that block technology came in across that world, that block technology in the USA. Basically, it came in first, and the person behind the block technology was John Barger, who developed that particular technology. And Wesley Bankler was also one person who coined the term weighted conversations, looking at the assets and the properties of the block technology, saying that block technology is basically creating a conversation, creating a debate, creating an argumentations among the people. At the same time, it has contributed to democratization of the space. Okay, and hence, advent of block technology is very important. By 1995, we get to see the advent of block technology, and it is different from the web pages and the websites which have already come in. So 1995, we get to see, people also said that there is a timeline, slight difference, 1997 to some people say. So 1997, also block technology coming. Okay. So John Berger actually coined the term block in 1997. Okay. And before that, web pages were designed. So we also already have a network interface, and computer and network technologies came in. IP address was set in. Domain name system were invented. We also have a domain name system management corporation. As I have already told you, that ICANN also came in. So that the task of designing the name and numbers was assigned to that ICANN by US. Okay, by a memorandum of understanding via MOU. That task was assigned by US to ICANN. So ICANN came in to manage the domain name system. Earlier, that task was taken by USA, but once network has already expanded and transcended beyond US, then we get to see that ICANN has taken the sole responsibility of managing the domain name system. And domain name system is a scalable, you see the very scalable distributed databases of the domains, which are also, you see, distributed and also spread across many servers, not in one single server. All the domains are distributed and nobody owns that particular domain. And there is a system of managing the domain based on this, based on the based on the country as well as the specification. Okay, so domain name was managed in that way. There are also other organizations which will help you to understand the governance part of this internet. So this is basically about the internet governance, and you see that these um, another, you see, organization which also help in internet governance is Internet Society. Okay, Internet Society. Then another one is the Internet Engineering Task Force, that is IETF. Okay, they help in the developing the standardization and also specification for the internet. And you see, ISOC, that is Internet Society. ISOC is also one particular organization having membership from almost all the countries, 180, 190 countries. Those who are state parties of the UN, United Nations Organization, are also members of, you see, that ISOC, Internet Societies, and there are also individual members from those state parties who also participated in the ISOC and also decide the development of specification and standard of newly emerging technologies. And we have Internet Engineering Task Force apart from this ICANN and ISOC that also help in developing this specification and standardization and interoperability of the network, which is very, very important. So we have that 4G, 5G. This is all about interoperability because the same network can be operated right in the previous system with a much higher speed. So that is basically a high-speed data communication network, right? That also with an improved interoperability, and the standard and the specification are being designed by Internet Engineering Task Force IETF. Okay, and it consists of engineers, then vendors, manufacturers, device manufacturers, etc. etc. Okay, so you see, if you look into the internet governance across the world, so you need to remember this. And net itself is a very open property. So it is owned by no one, as I have already told you. Net is not owned by anyone. It is not owned by any government. It is not under any government jurisdiction, not under any private jurisdiction. It's a very open kind of architecture. But again, you also see that there is also monopoly of this network infrastructure. The region and the consequences will be discussed later. So there is always a monopoly of the network infrastructure. There is a tendency to monopolize the network infrastructure, tendency to even, like, create an excess device in the network infrastructure that will come into being, and all happens because of this political, like, lack of political will, lack of bureaucratic support. Okay, and also there is an inner tendency to hegemonize the country. So that is a realistic tendency of the country to hegemonize, okay, over another country. So we see that this is basically about internet infrastructure. Okay, apart from, okay, blog, we have also another development last class I have discussed, that is called the wiki. Wiki is a bit different from blog. We have blog that came in 1997. So this is also a kind of web pages. Web pages were already there, but this web page is different from the earlier web page because of the permalink which is generated. So blog will generate a permalink, and this link will be there uh, anywhere and everywhere. Like even if you change the content, even if you change the title of the story or anything you post, that link will not change, it will be there, and it will also integrate and sync with your Google ID. Nowadays, earlier if it was not synced, then definitely it is there in the network, you need to search for it. But now it is as we also have everything got synchronized and also synthesized. So you see that this blog technology is also connected. Bloggers.com. I have an account in bloggers.com. I opened a blog in even 2009, and that is still found in that particular network, as my account is not being changed. Google account is there, and Blogger has already indexed it, search it, and also club it and sync it. Okay, so you see that it is all happened. It has happened because of the permalink. So blog has generated a permalink, that is a permanent link, not like a link or URL which you get to see. URL is uniform resource locator. Okay, you know about, it will locate the resources, that means the web pages across the network. So it will locate the resources. Resources means the web page and the website across this network. So blog, when you say permalink, permalink is a permanent link which is given to a post. So you make a post will be permanently existing in the network. So you may change the title, you may change the post, or you may also delete the post, but link will be there. Link is created by someone, and someone so will be there, that you have created the link, that will be there. The link has been created. So that is the feature of blog, and that's how blog is different from wiki. At the same time, blog also have a trackback facilities. It also has a blog rule. It also has a linking. So if you look into the feature of the blog, blog is basically a personal diary put in a reverse chronological order. So each time you write something, it will also come reverse way. So your earlier post will come like in a bottom, and then it did recent post. So like that way, it will create a reverse chronological order diary. So it is also a personal diary, personal web page, but having some extra features. Now with the advent of the CMS, content management tool, it is very easier to maintain a blog. So by 1997, this personal website was created. With the advent of this CMS, even it is easier to create a blog, and everybody can be a journalist, everybody can be a blogger. Right, so that was very important development, important milestone of the development of technology, which the features of linking, features of permalink, features of the like blog roll is there. Blog roll is basically a bookmark of the blog that will also um, uh, create a list of favorable bloggers for you. So it will also help another blogger inform about your likings, your dislikings. So that will create a bookmark of the favorable content as well as favorable blog. So you can also put a content and the key, not content as such, after the content, after writing the content, below the content you can put the keyword. So that keyword will definitely be tied with that blog name. Okay, and then you also have that notification and a trackback. It is just like a Facebook notification that you can get. So you get to know about the comments from another blogger, and also you can get yourself informed about this other bloggers' activities and all. Okay, so that these are some of the features that was, you see, those were initiated in 1997 and 2000. So these are not something very new. Okay, and then what we have seen, that wiki technology, that is also another technology that came in. That development came in not 1990, actually 2000. By 2000, we get to see Newpedia came in. Newpedia was basically a peer-reviewed website. This is also say that online Wikipedia, that is called online encyclopedia. So Newpedia was the first kind of site or website or web page generated with the help of wiki technology. Now you see blog technology is different from wiki technology. Okay, So Newpedia came in, and Newpedia also founded by Jimmy Wallace. That came in Jimmy Wallace first, that founded that Newpedia, and that was basically a peer-reviewed site that also generated 24 research papers over the period of 3 years. Meanwhile, what happened? You also see that uh, in 2002, Wikipedia came in. So this was not a peer-reviewed site. This was basically made for fun with the help of Wiki technology. Wiki technology is different from blog. So there is a hierarchy followed, but a very simple HTML markup language is used. So that is Wiki. It is a Hawaiian word basically, very quick. Quickly you can post anything. So in Nupedia you cannot post anything yourself. So you have to be an academician or a student of high caliber to write a paper, and there is a peer-reviewed process. So it will be checked, rechecked, verified again, like double cross and double checked. Then it will be uploaded. So within a period of 3 years, only 24 articles got published in Nupedia. Compared to that, or in contrast to that, in Wikipedia, which was founded 2 years later, within a year, or even 8 months or 10 months, you get to see uh, 1,30,60,000 articles got published. You see, that was the difference, and that actually promoted the wiki technology itself and strengthened the concept of wiki and collaborative communication. Okay, and that was the first, that you see that first endeavor of collaborative communication, and you also see this network infrastructure is highly collaborative. It can invite entries from multiple authors at the same time without even necessitating for review or even for editing. So they can publish whatever is being written. But Wiki has also a kind of feature that is called incremental cumulative knowledge. So Wiki has contributed to knowledge, and that too cumulatively contributing to knowledge. So every time you have written one paragraph, it can also become a, 3 pages long paragraph in the next very days. So that is a kind of cumulative incremental knowledge. So it is knowledge is incrementing or increasing cumulative way. Okay, so that is a feature of wiki technology. But in blog, if you don't want another blogger to even like comment on or moderate or invite to write, so the other blogger cannot even intervene in your blog. So that is highly personal. But wiki is not personal. This is basically a collaborative technology, and is based on a very simple hypertext markup language technologies based on cumulative incremental knowledge and versioning effect. Versioning effect in the sense that wiki can generate a history at the same time, even if whatever you have written is deleted or eliminated, it has already created a version of one paragraph. So because of electricity or because of some other technical problem, technical glitches, if you have already lost track of this uploaded information, could not save it. So whatever you have written could also be that retained, just because it has got that versioning effect. So it has saved different version that you have created. Okay, that version could also be tracked. Okay, there is also a provision of comment. So see, there is a difference between the blog and wiki technology, and within this period, by 2002, we can actually see that network infrastructure has proliferated, has also bolstered, has also promoted, has strengthened, and sold its all the properties and color. Right. So that's the basic milestone of or a timeline of internet technologies or network infrastructures aligned to computer. So if I want you to write an evolution of computer and even this internet technology, I think that you can write you, because it is very easier to conceptualize those timeline, those time, those milestones, separate milestone, and what happened at one particular period of time. And when we talk about the computer at the same time, we also see that government has created lots of hurdles and the bottleneck in the initial years in terms of developing a software policy. Indian government did not have a software policy also, computer software policy. in the initial days. Okay, we did not have software technology park. We did not have any kind of trading zone. We did not have even high-speed data network connectivity. Hence, software industry were not promoted, were also not encouraged in the very initial days. And you also see that at one point of time, Narayana Murthy, who happened to be the business tycoon, even the software tycoon in India, who started that Infosys with six of another engineers, six of his friends started this Infosys, and with the money from, like, all of them used the money from their wife's account. You know that? So they have used it, and then they have created that, like, giant corporations. And initially he also had a left leanings, but later he also realized that it is better to, like, leave and get rid of this concept. It is important to create wealth first before you distribute. So create wealth for yourself, then you distribute the wealth. And he also adopted the socialistic notion in that same time. And gradually, with this, you see favorable government policy during Rajiv Gandhi's time. You get to see this computer software industry has been promoted. Okay, and similarly now you see that computer, internet technology, we have also another component that is called telecommunication, very, very important component of new media. So when you say new media, you cannot even get rid of understanding the telecommunication. So telecommunication, you might also say it's all about mobile phone. No, first we actually need to understand the telecommunication. That is basically transmission of message at a distance, with the help of that electromagnetic waves, with the help of even that is transmission technologies, and also electronics and magnetic waves. Basically, that's how we understand this telecommunications, which also transmit the audio, visual, and also multimedia over the distance through fiber optic and other telecommunication technologies. Okay. So you get to see that's a basic understanding of telecommunication. It's a part of ICT at the same time, internet and communication technology. So again, this we have internet technology itself is information and communication technology. Sorry, ICT is information and communication technology. So telecommunication is also a most revered aspect of ICT, or even you say that most prioritized aspect of ICT. So we say that when we talk about the telecommunication, every time we talk about the access index, we talk about the skill index, we talk about the use index. Very, very important to understand the telecommunication itself in India. So here, when you talk about the telecommunication, we usually understand it from the perspective of a revolution. Like we said, a communication revolution, telecommunication revolution, computer revolution. But we can call it revolution when we have support from government. When government has actually created that support base, created that ecosystem. But you see, telecommunication itself is highly complex. The ecosystem is highly complex. Okay, so from simple to complex, it has also shifted its paradigm from simple to complex. Initially, it was very simple, like so transmission of information, data, video, between two nodes with the help of even this telegraph wires and telex, right? So that was also known as telecommunication. But later we have that telephone, transmission of information between these two nodes, having a telephone. That now you see it has also converted or transferred to or shifted to a very complex ecosystem, very multifarious ecosystem with the advent of mobile phone, right? So we also integrate this network uh, that uh, the network designers, then device manufacturers, then content developers, service providers, okay, data handlers. So everybody's are incorporated into that ecosystem now. App developers are there. So you say data communication is again supplemented by numerous applications in the mobile phone. Right, that has also supplemented this whole concept of telecommunication. So earlier concept of telecommunication has been replaced by a much newer version of data communications, which also content development, which even this newer network technologies and also newer devices and portable, easily portable devices, right, like a mobile phone. Huh. So that is one thing. And mobile phone itself is a very multifarious device. See, the thing is that I'm very quickly going to like, sum up about this telecommunication. Okay, because this I will keep for later this whole discussion on the telecommunication, because we need to learn a lot about this access device and also culture of telecommunication, culture disseminated through mobile phone. Definitely it will take another 2 3 classes. Okay, so quickly I will sum up the very basic facets of this revolution in India. He said. So computer revolution also culminated with this the government supporting that policy that Rajiv Gandhi's government favorable policy by 1985 we get to see that favorable policy related to computer came up and computer software policy came up, and again during Rajiv Gandhi's government only telecommunication has been promoted and even you said strengthened in India. So Rajiv Gandhi has already, you see, it came in 1984. By 1955, the Department of Telecommunication and Department of you said, um, Information, Post and Information has been reorganized. Okay, we on no, Department of that Communication and Information, Post and Information was reorganized, and it was made under the banner of the Department of Telecommunication. And Sam Pitroda was, you might have heard about Sam Pitroda, Satyen Pitroda. He was basically, and US, that Indian expatriate. So he's living in the USA. He actually born and brought up in USA. And he had a business out there. He had a company, Westcom International, I guess, and that was bought by Rockwell International. So that Pitroda was actually a man behind this telecommunication revolution, who was called by Rajiv Gandhi to explore telecommunication mechanism or even this framework here in India. And Petroda came and he became the head of that is CDOT, that is Center for the Development of Telematics, CDOT. And again, he actually created, he has taken some endeavors and he took lot of initiative regarding the development of telecommunication. Initially, we have some telex and this telegraphs, and we were lagging behind almost 10 years compared to US telecommunication industry. So we were like 10 years behind uh, the behind US regarding the development of telecommunication. So he has started developing that EPBX, that is also that is digital exchange. Telephone exchange have been developed, dual telephone exchange have been developed, and he actually created a collective of those graduates from IITs and also made them stay in hotel, luxurious hotel, and also um, encouraged them to work on developing the rural exchanges. Okay, and work for long hours to develop the rural exchanges. So that was a kind of initiative he has taken, and again he has made a collective of 400, I think, graduates, and many rural exchanges, telephone exchanges came in. Before that, you also see that this telecommunication has also gone to very it's a very demoralizing phase at the same time, because government did not even consider telecommunication as in for development. Government thought that it is basically a luxury need. So telecommunication is a luxury need. Even government came up with the policy once that having a mobile phone came much later. Having mobile phone is supposed to give an income tax more. So people owning mobile phone will be giving more income tax. So that was also a policy once. You see the kind of that treatment that telecommunication received in the initial days is that mobile phone, or even not even mobile phone, telecommunication I'm talking of, telephone itself is a luxury item. It cannot be an actor or a component of socio-economic development. So it was not considered as a necessary items for development. So you see that 10 5-year plan actually even emphasize and that focus on this telecommunication, and also made it a very crucial part of development. And again, it has also focused on investing on telecommunication. So initially, the whole, you see, the government, uh, we get to see this government monopoly across the telecommunication. There is also union. Union only think about, only thought about the employers. That union did not think about these consumers. So in favor of consumers, there were no policies, like no policies at hand. So that was also another lacuna. We also get to see that that the whole telecommunication company was overstaffed, but there is lack of competitions for innovations. So that was also another bottleneck. Okay, so government monopoly is also one main factor, because of which telecommunication could not proliferate, it could not expand it and extend it. Okay, so we get to see a kind of like an excess deficit at the same time in the rural and urban areas. So it is important when you actually understand the rollout of telecommunication. Later on, government has taken up various schemes, and that was also part of the favorable telecommunication policies, and that came up after 1985. Okay, so after Sam Pitroda developed his rural exchanges. So after the death of assassination of Rajiv Gandhi, Sam Pitroda again went to like that USA, and he also opened World Team, and that actually that company worked for the development countries and developing telecommunication for developing countries. So this Pitroda has a vision of integrating telecommunication with development. Okay, that integrating it for development, integrating it for development of the communities, and accordingly, you also see he was made the advisor of National Telecom Mission, National Technology Mission, and he integrated telecommunication with clean water supply, integrated it with other sanitation, literacy, and other various kind of like that the development practices. And also at that point of time, there's a story came up that that is basically, it's a fact and real story, that government also had a mission to provide like 40-liter clean drinking water to every uh, 1 lakh household, okay, who are problem born. Means problem born in the sense that don't have access to clean water. So again, that there is government, that bureaucrats also decide, bureaucrats were decided. They decided to get this water from even the sorry, that is called reeds. The reeds imported, they get to the thought of importing the reeds from outside. Okay, but that Pitroda had a different vision. He said that he has calculated everything, and he also said that this reeds could be manufactured. Existing, he has calculated the existing amount of reeds which are available for drilling for well and all, and he has actually found that we can reduce the import. So earlier, what happened? Huge amount of electronics and all technologies and infrastructures are being imported, and that is initiated in the very initial years of independence, and that continued because India was a developing country, so India had to uh, get into the technology transfer from developed countries, so in order to develop itself, and hence India had to had to rely on this technology transfer from the outside. So that was a kind of philosophy continued, that we will transfer technology. We will also import, not transfer. We will import technologies from outside, and many more electronic technologies were transported or imported from outside. And there was also an estimation made in 2002, I guess, 2002 or 3, when Manmohan Singh was the finance minister. I think that was so. And in 2007, you need to verify that 2007, it was an estimation made that by 2020, not Manmohan Singh was the finance minister, and not the prime minister, that by 2020, you actually see that the way we have been importing the you see this electronics, it will also it was cross to like some crore, 7 crore dollar like that. So that was a humongous amount. So that has actually used that has need to indigenous indigeneity of manufacturing, in the sense that manufacturing unit has already been installed, and also that culminated in Make in India program. Okay, so there are a lot to speak regarding this telecommunication revolution in one class. It is not it cannot be finished. So when we talk about the revolution, first thing you need to know the initial bottleneck and the hurdles that India faced, and the kind of that kind of you see that sentiment of the people regarding telecommunication. And later, what we get to see is the favorable attitude, which also culminated because of the favorable policy of Rajiv Gandhi, and that also lead to numerous other schemes and mobile phone, as well as you see these telecommunication units are also taken as a freebies, distribution for freebies. Government has already devised out numerous schemes through which they started distributing mobile phone in order to, you see, bridge the excess divide. So when you talk about the telecommunication, we basically talk about access, basically talk about the use of this telecommunication, and also the skill set which is required. Again, we will get back to the information literacy. So we will get to it later on, okay? But I'm going to finish it, or if you have any questions, you can also ask me. Meanwhile, sorry. Okay, two components to principle basically that helps to develop the internet technology is galactic network and packet switching. So galactic network, when you say galactic network, is basically it is networking among the nodes. One network is also connected to every other node. So one node of the network is also connected to every other node. Is what is the principle of galactic networking. It is devised out by John Licklider in 1961. And when you say packet switching, that is also uh, uh, that has also facilitated and resulted the TCP/IP protocol. This is basically related to converting the message into some package and also put it in an envelope, which is also addressed to a destination computer, and also facilitate the transmission of the uh, message to the destination computer. So that is one thing. Okay. So it is important. So regarding the telecommunication, so we have to discuss about it in another class, because there are a lot more to discuss regarding the telecommunication, and I will share some documents also with you, some materials, so from which you can go through how it has rolled down and also penetrated in India, across India, different stages of this rolling out of telecom services, the kind of schemes that the government has also taken into account, like there are also incentive link, production incentive link came in 2020, that has also increased the value of mobile phone reduction at the same time. We also have a central sales tax that has also considered mobile phone as a that is as a good for which income tax will be likely reduced. Earlier, you see, purchase people, those who purchase and own a mobile phone will be giving that income tax, but later on, that mobile phone was also a group of was also considered a goods of special importance, for which the tax which levied on mobile phone as a good has reduced. So those are some of the effort or attempt of the government in order to facilitate this telecommunication, because mobile phone is also part of telecommunication. There are also various other schemes like Mobile Seva scheme is very, very important scheme that came in 2013. That also lead to intergovernmental coordinations, and that has also made mobile services at home and at the doorstep of the citizen at the same time. And around 254 services I think available could be available via those applications. There is also application store application could be downloaded, and 254 services, government services are made available for citizens through mobile seva. At the same time, this also help to coordinate. This also helps to all the departments, more than 832 departments of the government to coordinate. Okay, so that was a very encouraging step government has also taken, and also we have another scheme, Bharat Mobile Seva scheme. Okay, that was another scheme. That is a freebie only, distributing mobile phone and distributing some 2.5 lakh million handset as well as 90 lakhs tablet to rural like households. So that is a part of feed is not necessarily reduce the excess gap and excess divide. Okay, but government has also taken into consideration some of the schemes in order to reduce the excess gap. But still, if you look into it, India is ranked in 134 around 200 countries, I guess, in terms of excess, in terms of skill set, in terms of use index. So ITU has actually developed an index of accessibility of mobile phone and internet, that mobile broadband, internet broadband across the world, and also there is country-wise evaluation and found that only 3% that is that is a that actually not even three, yeah, point some percent household can access to mobile internet, and that is a very like minuscule amount. So that record was registered in 2015. Nowadays we have a different kind of record definitely, but it is not accessible. Okay, so and until new record is being uploaded, so we will have to take into like an account that record which is available. You see, but now we have also 3G, we have 4G, we have 5G, and we have the wireless cellular, we have lines. They do have like numerous dual subscribers at the same time. But there is still an access and skill gap. And when you talk about the skill gap, so you will get to see that in terms of skill, what is evaluated is the enrollment ratio of the people in the school as well as school dropout, you see. And that is related to information literacy at the same time. So when you actually understand the telecommunication, you also need to understand the access variable, skill variable, and use. In terms of use, people can access, but people cannot use the technology. They can access the computer, they can access the information kiosk. Huh. People can access the PCO. Suppose PCO is also another very important endeavors of the government. That is a part of Gramin Sevak that scheme. Okay, that is DSS scheme. That PCO has been installed across 6 lakhs villages. Okay, that is that step was taken by the government in uh, during Pitroda's time. So we also get to see village public telephone installed in almost I think 6 lakhs village, as well as issues have also been installed in each of the 6 lakhs villages. So that was a biggest achievement at the same time. But those services are being made available, but it was not that way utilized by the rural people. So it was made accessible for the rural subscribers, rural users, but there are no users actually. Those services are not utilized. So hence there is a huge debate about this telecommunication revolution and the internet revolution here in India. So at where I we can simply discuss the timeline that these are the developments, but there is much to debate and argue about it. Okay.